is up, everybody? I'm Matt Ramage. I'm here with Wes Hodkiewicz, the Packers digital reporter.
Got it.
You can get all his content on Packers.com for sure. But thanks for joining me today, Wes.
Absolutely, buddy. It's a beautiful day in Green Bay. Maybe our last good one here before it starts getting cold again. There is nothing I would rather do than be standing outside with Matt Ramage.
And I'm wearing a hoodie because I'm ready for hoodie season.
Yeah, what is that? It's like 80 degrees out, bro.
I like my hoodie. You can get my merch, you know what I mean? But so the Packers beat the Bears. How excited are you? Like, do you do like happy dances or what?
You know what? I did a happy dance for Aaron Jones, is what I did a happy dance for, because I felt like that game in specific really showed what Aaron Jones is all about, why the Green Bay Packers valued him the way they did 2 years ago when they signed him to that extension. And really just getting people a reminder, if they needed one, of what this team is and what they can accomplish. One of my big things all week long, Matt, was there was a significant talent discrepancy. I felt personally, this is not digging on anybody, but I felt like the Packers were the superior football team. The Bears claimed 6 guys off waivers and final cuts. Yeah. There's going to be a difference there. And I thought Green Bay, especially once you got to that second quarter, really ended up showing what they're all about. There was no happy dance, but there definitely was some appreciation for what they accomplished.
I did a happy dance. I do a happy dance anytime they win, especially when it's against the Bears. But yeah, that is a game that they're supposed to win. So I got a lot of comments from that because, you know, I was celebrating. You're like, oh, it's only the Bears. Like, I don't care. They won. I'm a Packer fan. Packers win. I celebrate.
Absolutely.
But you mentioned Aaron Jones, which I think a lot too. Everyone was saying Aaron Jones last week. Give Aaron Jones the ball. Get both running backs involved. But who was the guy in defense that really stood out to you?
Preston Smith. I mean, for Preston Smith, I'm not just saying that because I know that's your guy. I felt like that was one of Preston's best games in a Packers uniform, because one thing I think he does not get enough credit for is the fact that he is an all-around 3-4 outside linebacker. It's not just about the 12.5 sacks. He's been there. But it's also about the way he defends the run, the way he holds up his edge, the way he does his 111th at all times. And against a talented quarterback like that, you have to be very disciplined with how you approach a Justin Fields, because one, he's athletic enough that he can escape the pocket and make plays, but two, that's what enables their downfield passing game to get going. I thought Preston and Rashawn Gary had phenomenal games, but especially for Preston, a guy that I think continually has had to kind of reprove himself to people, even though he's been very consistent and a total professional during his time here. I felt like that was a really good reminder of the type of player that they have here in Green Bay.
Yeah, I was stoked for it because I talked about it during my live stream that there was plays like Justin Fields, like you said, he could go. Like, he can get on the edge, and he stayed where he's supposed to stay. Like, I'm not like a film breakdown genius type of guy, but even I could see, like, he was containing. He was doing his job. He wasn't getting sucked in, and I love to see Preston Smith ball out. And he had an amazing game, the stats and all that, but I think just being where he's supposed to be, and because it's easy to get sucked in, and let Justin Fields run over you. So that was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and for the Packers defensively, I mean, there's certainly stuff they have to clean up. You know, they're going to be seeing a guy like Leonard Fournette next weekend. The Bucs offense is going to go as he goes. They have to get some of the run defense stuff cleaned up. But Jair Alexander said it in the post-game locker room, too. That was more of the secondary that I think they're expecting, the type of secondary that this fan base is expecting. 48 total yards of pass defense. That's incredible. That's going to keep them up there in the listings here for the next few weeks for sure. But it's also the fact that the Bears only had 41 offensive plays. It's the fact that Justin Fields only attempted, 11 passes. The Packers dominated every aspect of this game. Yes, it got a little close at the end, but for the most part, man, they did what they needed to do to show the Bears who they are.
Yeah, so this defense kind of showed what we been talking about. And I get it, it is the Bears and their offense is what their offense is, but they came out and they played the way that they're supposed to play.
Yeah. And keep in mind too, Matt, I mean, the Packers have a lot of tough teams on the schedule. They have 5 opponents, road opponents, that are all 2-0 right now. You have to take care of business against these teams. And the NFC North, it appears like it's probably going to end up being better than maybe I gave it credit for at the beginning of the season with the way that Detroit's playing. But these are the type of games you have to get, especially being back at this place with how energized that crowd was.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So let's talk about what everyone asked me about. David Bakhtiari and his injury. Do we know anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of this wait-and-see approach right now with him. Now, the one thing Matt LaFleur said last week is when Bakhtiari gets back, and the Packers are confident he's going to be back here, he's not going to practice 3 consecutive days. What does that mean? That means he'll go on Wednesdays and he'll go on Fridays. The Packers have made one big adjustment. They're no longer doing it, at least for the time being, Matt. They're not doing their padded work on Thursdays. They're doing that on Wednesdays now. LaFleur said that had something to do with the fact that with the punt periods and special teams. That's something that Rich Bisaccia wanted to go with, and that's the way they're going to approach it. So Bakhtiari is going to be in pads here in these Wednesday practices. Then he's going to sit down on Thursday like they do with Mercedes Lewis and bring it back on Friday. The thing about offensive line is you have to be able to go all 4 quarters. You look at what Elton Jenkins did last week. It's not a position like what Robert Tunyon's doing right now where he's gradually being reintegrated into the offense. 17 snaps, 25 snaps. No, you got to go every single play. That's the end goal for Green Bay here, is that they feel like David Bakhtiari, for how long this has taken, for as much patience it's required on everyone's behalf, they are getting close to having him back on the field. You don't want to jeopardize that. The good news for Green Bay was they did get Elton Jenkins back. I thought that was an encouraging performance, just a hair under 10 months removed from that ACL injury. Getting him back at right tackle, you get Bakhtiari back. John Runyon Jr. got through the concussion protocol in a week. You're starting to see this offensive line look a little bit more veteran and take the shape that I think a lot of people expected it to back in April.
Yeah, I think the offensive line is obviously the biggest part, because you talk about running the ball, using these guys. Aaron Rodgers needs time, so like having guys in there is absolutely huge. But
yeah, and the run aspect too. I mean, don't discount that. Not that you are, but I mean, what David Bakhtiari offers as a run blocker, what Elton Jenkins did in that game as a run blocker. I thought Josh Myers really shined with some of his run blocking at the second level. That also had a lot to do with the Aaron Jones breakthroughs and A.J. Dillon getting some of those hard yards. It all is intertwined. And I feel like that's probably the edge that they get here as they get a little bit more experience back in that lineup.
So when talking about next week, they played the Bucs. Evans, I think he got suspended because there was a scrap there. So
can't do that.
No, you can't do it. I just saw the video. I heard about it, but I didn't see it just till earlier today, and I was like, he really went ahead of him.
Yeah.
But
that's his quarterback.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. But what do the Packers have to do to play with the Bucs? Because the Bucs are one of the top NFC teams. What do they got to do to get this done?
The thing is, Matt, is everybody all week long is going to be talking about Rodgers and Brady, and certainly they're the two best probably to ever play the position, right up there with maybe Joe Montana. So that is where a lot of the narratives are going to go. Fine. People want to click on those stories. That's what they're going to engage with. I get it. But realistically, I think it comes down to how Green Bay is able to penetrate the Bucs defense, which is still, it's a little bit older, but still very talented. Levante David has not gotten the notice that you have to get older than this league at linebacker. He's still playing really well. I think Devin White is incredibly talented. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, the Leonard Fournette equation. This offense for the Tampa Bay is different when Leonard Fournette is getting yards. It's what sets up everything that Tom Brady does. Brady, I don't want to put the game manager label on him because he can still hurt you. But a lot of it is the high percentage. A lot of it is kind of the way that Drew Brees sort of did things at the end of his career. That's where they have to be really careful, because if the Bucs win on first and second down, if they get into third and favorable, if they're able to continually converting, that's when you're in for a long day. And that type of crowd, that type of fan base, it's going to be wanting to really pull for them, because they feel like this is another shot at a Super Bowl, and they have an expectation coming off a really big win over the Saints that now this is their division.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to be a tough game. I think the Packers got a break with Evans getting suspended.
And we have to see, at the time in which we're taping this, he's going through the appeals process. Yeah. You never know how that's going to shake out, but with Chris Godwin being injured, the amount of things that have happened to them with the skill positions, if they don't have Evans, that is a definite big loss for Brady and company.
Yeah, so I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Work, come outside and
I'm on my break. I have another 7 minutes. I'll have enough time to go get a Coke.
Everyone, check out, follow Wes Hod on Twitter. Follow him. I think that's about it. But Packers.com, you can find all his stuff. He's the legend himself, Mr. Wes.
I don't know about a legend, Matt, but I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to step outside for a few minutes and enjoy this lovely stadium.
Yeah, a little bit of sun. Thanks for watching, people.